Mysterious Monkeys, a former Misfits Academy, taking on their sister team, and it might be Monkey See, Monkey Do.
Get Thresh, get Thresh!
The backside, a lot of damage onto Yuki. Foxy leaves it again! Not gonna get anybody though. Yuki, nice sidestep, dodging what he can. Yuki's still alive.
Last time I played against Amazing was a year ago.
Them healthy, but the Baron is still doing damage to Yarden in the back, and the Wish comes in to keep Fnatic. The shields, the heals, they're everywhere, but Sjokz is taken out by Maxlore.
Like, as an underdog, you can have to throw in a couple of curveballs. So, actually, like, going by the meta makes the enemies already be prepared for you.
I don't know, I just felt like this guy was not that great. He was just okay.
It's going to be funny to face CozQ. He was Misfits Academy mid laner, and obviously, if you're a Misfits Academy, you want to win against Misfits.
Nope, that's the deletion, and now the fight is starting up. Oh, Exile hooked up out of nowhere. Double kill for PowerOfEvil Misfits.
Like, I think we're good friends. I would call us friends. I don't know if CozQ sees the same. I know from Misfits Academy teammates that he always wanted to win against me in scrims, and he always wanted to win the lane against me. It's going to be a fun match.
Welcome to beautiful Berlin for another day in the summer split. Mysterious Monkeys have turned things around after adding Kikis and Amazing to their roster, and now they hope to take their second win in a row as they go up against Misfits Gaming. Hello everyone, I'm Sjokz supporter, following the action today alongside James Stress O'Leary and Henning Eklund, and we're gonna dive straight into the news because we have to talk about yesterday and the huge upset that was Rockat over the Unicorns of Love. Unicorns of Love last split finalists at the top of Group B for, well, basically the entire split, but now Rockat took the upper hand. So how in the end did they do it? What did they play out so perfectly that they were able to take the series?
It was Rockat fixing the issue we saw last week, and that was their early game snowballing into a game win. They've been picking the Syndra a lot for Betsy, and this week against the Unicorns, they actually managed to close the games out, finding the skirmishes they needed to take a 2-on-1 on the series. That was criticism we pushed heavily at Rockat, and they finally have shown growth in that area.
Out of all the teams to do it, you wouldn't have pinned it on Rockat to take down the Unicorns of Love, because Henning, we spoke about the Unicorns of Love kind of weaknesses over the last couple of weeks. So why do you think they got then exposed at the end yesterday versus Rockat?
In the end, it came down to a lot of individual misplays from the Unicorns of Love, particularly in the mid lane, not really doing too well there for Exile. In the end, though, Rockat were able to abuse it, and I think it's fair to call them the Kingslayers now that they've beaten Fnatic and the Unicorns.
Yeah, we have been coining that for them. And in our second series, the actual Kings of Europe, G2, they silenced the critics with a statement win against first place H2K. That was, and it was a very interesting one. They said it would be a slow series all around, but only the first game really was very slow. But G2, do we feel a shift here? Is there really a different form in what we've seen from G2 yesterday?
They look a lot more confident. They're executing their team comps really well, and I think their solo laners in particular did really well yesterday. Both Perks and Expect had good games back-to-back. And the big question here for G2 is what are they going to be doing with this momentum? Because we know what they can pull off when they got the momentum going.
I'm glad you mentioned Expect. We've seen a couple of weeks now that he's had bad lane matchups. Finally in Game 3, G2 bring out that momentum with the Renekton in the early game pick, and they shut H2K before H2K's composition could get back in the game.
In terms of foreshadowing, if G2 is back on a roll and back on their path to being the Kings of Europe, then it isn't too bad for H2K. But if we look in the moment, what should they take away from it?
For H2K, what they really have to look at doing now is not drafting these later game compositions. When you take the likes of a Victor with a Shen, those two, although you're not necessarily losing the lane, you end up falling on the back foot for so long in the game, and you put too much down on Nuclear in the bottom lane. I want to see H2K draft more around the mid-game rather than for the later game.
All right, we'll see what they decide to do. But with their wins, G2 and Rockat have now put the pressure on Misfits Gaming in the fight for a playoff spot in Group A, because things are getting tighter over there. G2 is now in second place, 1 win over Misfits Gaming, who are 1 win over Rockat, and there's just a lot still left to be decided.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is looking for Misfits and Splice to find their identity. Are they top teams or are they middle of the pack teams? Right now, you can see the game difference plus minus 0, so they're really about to find their identity, top or middle. who knows?
Well, that is true. It is the question between are you a top team or are you second tier? And today's series will maybe tell us a bit more about that. Mysterious Monkeys are going up against Misfit, and Splyce are going up against the Ninjas in Pajamas. And the same question goes for Splyce. Are you still a top team?
It's a very difficult answer for them because this is by no means an already determined matchup. This isn't a matchup that both of these teams will look at and say, okay, we're not going to drop a game. We might not drop the series. Very interesting now as we go into potential wins for NiP and MM.
Interesting day on the plate, and Mysterious Monkeys, first up on stage, they secured an important win against Rakan last week. They're looking to take a big step forward and taking a big step toward that 4th place, and are going up against Misfits. And well, the Mysterious Monkeys, they're cool to watch. They're fun to watch. They've brought some interesting things to the Rift, but what would you say has been their winning formula as of late, Henning?
What I really like about them is that they found their style. They do this thing that works with a Kikis split push and then good vision control to allow him to do that. And then when it comes to the later stages, if you're engaging in teamfights, have very decisive shot calling. So they have found their plan and they're really executing well.
And that decisive shot calling comes a lot from Amazing, and that's the experience that Mysterious Monkeys wanted. Bringing Kikis and Amazing, you've now got 2 good opportunities in the game to be building leads and capitalizing on them. The split push style is very exciting. We've even seen generic picks coming out with the Renekton last week as well from Mysterious Monkeys. So they really are a team that are improving week on week.
Amazing also commenting last week when we asked him about those picks, if it wasn't putting too much of a spanner in the works because they are a building team. He said, well, at least you have one card in your hand, something unexpected for teams to go up against you. So we'll see what they throw in the mix as they go up versus Misfits. Well, Misfits now in the 3rd place in Group A after their loss to the Unicorns of Love and G2 winning. And we need to look at Misfits in the context of their 1-year plan, wanting to make it to Worlds, a good spring split. But in my opinion, seeming like they've come to a halt in their evolution a bit. Do you agree? And why do you think that is?
I agree. And the reason is it's not only their evolution that's halting, it's Misfits in the game that are halting as well, because they've got this great early game, they can get leads, and then they just stop finding skirmishes. They stop finding the ability to make plays and set up the map. And it's similar to the problem they actually had in the spring split when we started seeing them slump down a bit. I want to see them be more active, find the right fights around the Baron, and continue to take these leads into wins. They slowed down against the Unicorns and it punished them.
Taking a look at who usually is carrying PowerOfEvil, has put up some great numbers this split. He's having almost a career split, but I feel like sadly for Misfits, they can't really fall back on anyone else when PowerOfEvil does get caught later in the game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, looking at last week, they tried to set up Alphari for success. They got the counter picks with Kled and Kennen, giving him a beneficial matchup, giving him early jungle attention. And then, like, when he had a lead, they didn't really know what to do with it. I mean, Alphari ahead on an AD Kennen, and you kind of still go for this sort of same old team fighting style. So I don't think Misfits know how to play around this.
And the other guy that I really want to see step up, because we talked about him so much, is Hansama. In Challenger, he was playing the Draven, the Vayne, he was smashing people in the lane, carrying team fights. We want to see exactly the same thing happen. I wonder whether we'll see something come out now, picks-wise, maybe a Jhin that he could take over a laning phase with. I want to see Hansama from Challenger Series, that kind of performance for Misfits.
That guy step on stage. We'll see what happens. Mysterious Monkeys and Misfits are ready to kick off the day. Let's leave it to our casters for picks and bans.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. Hello, all you esports fans out there. I am Devin Piratechnics, and I'm, of course, joined by my main Dane, Martin Deficio. Linga, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty well. I actually look forward to this game here. First time I get to cast on 7-14 as well.
I know, me as well. I mean, we saw some interesting stuff already, but I'm expecting us to see even more stuff today. Now, let's go ahead and get into it. The players hitting the Rift. Misfits Gaming starting off on the blue side tonight. And when you look at Misfits, one name that I think really does start to pop out is Maxlore. He hasn't necessarily been pulling all the weight we want him to see, but he's still the exciting guy on that team for sure.
I mean, yeah, there are obviously a few guys also to highlight around him, PowerOfEvil being one of the guys. He's kind of
putting a lot of eggs in his basket,
spoon-feeding PowerOfEvil very often. The man on your screen right now is Hussein Mousvi, the coach for Misfits Gaming, and I think he's actually one of the guys that I have a lot of respect for when it comes to drafting as well and really trying to push his team forward. These guys, however, Misfits Gaming are taking on Mysterious Monkeys, and we see the lineup from Mysterious Monkeys right now. A man to highlight, Pyra? Is it amazing?
Ooh, I think I'm going to have to go one up because for me, it's always about Kikis. This is the guy that's picking all sorts of crazy champions, and he's honestly the one that they're putting a lot of their eggs on as well. They want him to kind of snowball ahead.
You like your eggs, right?
I had like 3 today for breakfast, to tell you the truth.
Eggs on PowerOfEvil, eggs on Kikis.
Yeah, no baskets though, unfortunately, so they might just
maybe that's what they're missing, you know? You need the basket.
Maybe. I mean, well, Misfits do have a game plan. Let's give them that. That's their basket, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think actually Mysterious Monkeys as well, once they got, you know, Amazing and Kikis, they kind of learned, okay, there needs to be some sort of basic game plan. I don't want to say they've kind of figured it out, because late game we still see some issues in terms of shot calling. But in the early game, they understand, you know, if Kikis is playing a Kali or Aatrox, you need to gank that lane. So Amazing will show up level 4, level 5, level 6, and he will visit that lane. They will tower dive, and that coordination and understanding of how to at least snowball the early game with Kikis' picks, they understand that part. We just got to see the mid to late game pick up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we've seen from Mysterious Monkeys over the last couple of weeks, just a little bit of an evolution. Kikis actually had an interview recently on Slingshot, I believe, where he talked about the ideal lineup of a team, talking about a couple of veterans along with a couple of rookies. So you have some impressionable minds that can be taught, that aren't going to have kind of a jaded perspective because they've been playing so long and they think they know everything. Yeah,
and also the veterans here on Mysterious Monkeys, they talk very highly of the bottom lane with Yuki and Dreams. Obviously, Yuki is a guy who's been around for a long time, around the semi-professional scene and then also in the professional scene. But Dreams, obviously, still a guy who's still fairly new to this big competitive scene. And I think both these guys have actually shown mechanically they can definitely go toe-to-toe with some of the best players. Experience on the LCS stage is kind of what they're lacking, which is why you sometimes see some weird mistakes you don't normally see from bottom lanes, but then you also see big outplays. Dreams are on your screen right there, especially when he gets like Thresh. That man alone can just like carry an early game. Yeah. And I actually want to see that. That's why I think Thresh is going to be such a contested pick right now, because Ignar is basically the same deal on the side of Misfits.
100%. We've seen Ignar be able to really pop off on picks like that as well in the past. And I think it'll be a really good test for the Misfits bottom lane to take on this explosive potential that the Monkeys do have down there, because we've seen these big plays. This doesn't always happen in the laning phase, but we see it more in the team fights, and maybe that'll start changing with all the lethality changes we started to see coming through on 7.14.
Sadly, we also got tanks.
We also got tanks too, so maybe not so much of that, but let's see what happens in pick and ban.
So Misfits have this weird fetish where they ban Rek'Sai every single game.
Is that what it is?
Apparently. Amazing obviously does play a lot of Rek'Sai, but I still really think that Sejuani, Gragas, Zac, like these picks are just above Rek'Sai on the priority list, which is why the Rek'Sai ban to me is a little bit weird in the start of a best of 3. I would much rather see it just saved. It could also just be because Misfits Gaming, they don't like playing against early game junglers. Elise is obviously always banned on one side, and then they ban Rek'Sai, and both early game junglers have kind of been taken off the table. And Alphari or PowerOfEvil won't get camped from level 3 and just die.
Yeah, we also see a Cho'Gath ban from the Mysterious Monkeys, so that one is going to be taken away. Won't get a chance to see the Terror of the Void just yet. And Zac, of course, banned, followed by the Caitlyn, which has honestly made it to the ban list most of the games in 7.14.
That Caitlyn ban, a lot of teams would have liked to keep her open and first pick her on the side of Misfits Gaming, but they value the Kalista above it. Now, one of the reasons for that is that Mysterious Monkeys have found a lot of success playing Kalista with Yuki down in the bottom lane. If you actually look at the AD carry champion pool graphic down the bottom of your screen, you can see how there's 5 games for Yuki on this Kalista, very often paired with that Thresh from Dreams, and they actually have this lane they can play around in the early game that is not Kikis, and they can really force a lot of aggressive moves, and I think that's why Misfits value the Kalista so highly, so they steal it away from Yuki and give it to Hansama.
It is nice to see Hansama picking up a champion that you can make some plays on, because as you see, 10 Varus games, the guy has been stuck on utility for so long, and he does have the ability to really go off, and maybe he'll be able to do it. Now, the Syndra's been locked in for PowerOfEvil, and that's a player we know is going to go off, so there's 2 ingredients there in that explosive mix.
Well, we see quite a new pick and man face here from them. Oh, they're locking the Maokai.
Got the Maokai, all right. So that should be for Maxlore, of course, one of the big tanks for 7.14.
Maokai jungle. I am a little bit sad we don't get a Sejuani. I think that is a better pick in the jungle, but of course I'm not going to kill the Maokai hype. It is something we've seen a lot of in North America being used in the jungle. Talk more about that in-game, but the point of it is you are a tank with point-and-click CC. And your ulti is a great zoning tool. That is kind of the too long didn't read version of why Maokai jungle is a thing. On the other side, Mysterious Monkeys, though, they're getting that Jayce for Kikis. Most likely Kikis could be flexed into mid lane for CozQ as well. And Jayce is one of the champions that can benefit from lethality, as he can build Duskblade early on in the game.
Yeah, it gives them a little damage to complement the tanky front line that they've already got built for themselves, and as we enter ban phase 2, the Thresh is removed, so Ignar will not get a chance to combo up for that yo-yo comp with the Kalista.
And it's funny because Misfits Gaming are changing up a lot of things here compared to how they normally like to draft. Most of the time they pick for PowerOfEvil much later on. They don't want to show his pick, they actually want to give him like a great lane matchup. And his Syndra, while we've seen it quite a few times, it's not necessarily something they pick this early in the game, but obviously he values the Syndra very highly, and he takes it away from CozQ as well, and it is still a great lane matchup almost no matter what happens. We know CozQ likes his Katarina against it, but that is a losing lane despite Katarina having some kill pressure.
Yeah, we've seen CozQ honestly shine on, I feel like, some of the more meta choices. Cassiopeia last week, he was really able to dish a lot of damage. That game did go to the 45-minute mark, so
yeah, and now it's actually it's really hard to pick the Cassiopeia now because Syndra is already locked in, and that's a tough lane to play for CozQ then. And Katarina actually gets banned away by Misfits Gaming. They are respecting that.
Right.
I wonder if CozQ now wants to actually pick just a boring champion like Orianna and just say, you know what, I can just try and go even in lane, or if he has a new pick prepared. Could be the exile Vladimir.
There we go.
I was gonna say it straight away.
I want to see him feed less though.
That's a good point. You don't pick Vladimir to die on the enemy tower at level 6.
Yeah.
So that should be a change for him, but yeah, classic. We get to see that Vladimir from CozQ.
Yeah, and there's some CC that they can bring out between the Braum and the Gragas as well. I mean, we could see some pretty explosive fights.
Yeah, it's
see what Misfits answer with.
Big explosive team fight set up from Mysterious Monkeys.
Misfits doing the same though. They bring the Jarvan.
All right, so both teams are just packing like a ton of CC. Right now, you got the Braum Gragas combo on one side. You got even more on the side of Misfits. We talked about the Maokai point and click CC with his W. Jarvan, of course, is great follow-up, and the same with Syndra. So Misfits Gaming right now, looking for support. Tom Kinch is available, which is a fine pick against the Braum. They do want to get a bit more engaged, though. I mean, why not? If you already have so much engaged, just get some more.
Yeah, throw it on there. So the Rakan's going to get paired up with that Kalista. Should be able to toss him in a little farther just to set up the quickness at that level 6 point. Now, Mysterious Monkeys, what are they going to round this out with? What do they need for AD carry for Yuki?
So we know Yuki likes his Twitch when they're already running teamfight comps, but that will be a lot of scaling on Mysterious Monkey's side. And will be instead a little bit stronger laning phase from the Tristana. Not the greatest laning phase in the world, but definitely better than what Twitch can offer.
You know, I'm actually kind of surprised. This is the first time we've seen Yuki on this Tristana, this split, so it kind of does seem like a champion that would be right up his alley anyways, but I guess he hasn't really been challenged on the champion pool front, and it's nice to see both teams changing up the pick ban strategy a little bit.
Yeah, so exactly, like we see changes in the pick and ban strategy, but not exactly like new things that are purely impacted by 7.14. The Maokai was already showing up on 7.13 in North America, so that's not really just due to the new patch. And also the Jayce top lane, it's a pick we've always seen here and there. I think this one, obviously, he's gone a little bit up in value due to the Duskblade being introduced, but he doesn't always have to build that as a first item. It can come later in his build still. So while it is a new patch, I don't feel like this pick and ban phase was that impacted by the changes here on 7.14.
Means both teams have a little bit more familiarity with what they're going to be doing, and of course, worth always remembering the Mysterious Monkeys, formerly the Misfits Academy lineup. Of course, 3/5 of the team, as Kikis and Amazing were both part of the Fnatic Academy lineup.
And a coach.
And a coach as well, Unlimited, yeah. You got to think he might know just a little bit more than some of those other teams.
I mean, you might know some trends of how Misfits like to set up the draft and so on, but obviously a lot will change over the few months where Misfits Academy was sold, bought by Mysterious Monkeys. And they're going to this game here, Pyra, as the underdog, but I don't want to say that there's like no chance they can win at all, because I actually think Mysterious Monkeys have been looking better and better lately.
And Misfits have had a bit of a downturn, so will the Monkeys be able to overcome the Misfits? We're about to find out. Let's load up onto Summoner's Rift.
Let's see, PowerOfEvil on his Syndra, always a man to look at on the side of Misfits Gaming, but early on we got to also look at the junglers. So often we talk about the early impact they can have. On patch 7.14 in this tank meta, it is rare we see a tank jungler dominate the early game. Just, you know, get 5 successful ganks, snowball the entire early game. It doesn't really happen. Some of the early games are much slower for that reason. It also means that if you do fall behind in your lane, you can't just cry to the jungler like, oh, come on, please help me, save me. That's what you have Lee Sin and Rex and Elise for. The tanks, they want to keep farming.
So wait, what you're telling me is if I want to get my team to stop QQing in solo queue, all I need to do is pick a tank jungler?
Yes, and you tell them, guys, and he needs to scale. Okay. Scaling, that's the strategy.
What if every lane loses?
They will blame you, obviously, no matter what. Okay. So I'm not sure it's going to work in solo queue, but at least then you have an excuse for yourself. But obviously, you should have ganked every lane before 3 minutes.
That's the most important thing, though, having an excuse to feel good about yourself, right?
Yeah, that's the key part. So,
good to know.
Maokai jungle here. What he offers also in the early game is great clear speed. His saplings, when they're in these brushes here, when they explode once, they obviously get to tag on to the minions once again and explode a second time. So the AoE damage on Raptors, fantastic for Maokai. He stays pretty healthy in the jungle as well. And his gank, obviously looking at just that point-and-click twisted advance, is good CC, but the damage is not really there to back it up on champions. So he needs damage in the lanes, and that's why you have a Syndra, that's why you have a Jarvan. So there are good lanes for Maxlore to gank.
Yeah, it's going to get sped up a little bit too because he does have that super leash going through. Hansama is going to be able to pull out those Ren stacks to help get this red buff even earlier. As Maxlore finishes the job, level 2 before 2 minutes in.
And you see Mysterious Monkeys already put a ward on that blue buff right there. Top lane. Quick graphics showing Kikis as champions. We were just kind of teasing it a little bit, but he's played a lot of wacky stuff. I think Jayce is probably one of the most meta things he's played so far.
Very, very normal compared to the rest of his picks. The likes of Akali, obviously the Camille is something that's not unheard of, but then we saw the Renekton and we're like, wait a minute, that's a meta pick. That doesn't happen for Kikis too much.
And funny enough, that was actually one of the best games we saw from Kikis where he was able to really have a strong impact. So Maxlore, mid lane gank, twisted advance.
Flash right on top of the Vlad, and Scout of the Week will miss thanks to the flash from CozQ.
All right, Maxlore want to trade flash for flash. We see the Maokai in action. Also steals a bit of experience, smart move.
So what was that about not needing to gank early on?
No, I'm saying that Maokai with twisted advance is good at ganking. He didn't need to gank.
Okay, fair enough.
He didn't need. He could have just farmed like, you know, this Gragas is doing on the other side. But that's the thing. If you want to gank as a tank, do it. You have CC. If you want to farm as a tank, do it. You have great scaling.
Oh, there's options.
There's so many options.
Okay.
And you can have the mechanics of a potato, and you can actually still be useful.
You speaking from experience?
Yes, Maokai is great if you don't feel very confident in your skill shots. It's really hard to miss any of his abilities. His ulti fills up the entire lane right now, Pyra. You really can't miss it. Unless they walk out of it, but that's not your fault then.
Of course. All right, well, I mean, we've gotten a masterclass in how the Maokai is going to work out. But I really want to talk on the other side of the map because Amazing has honestly been playing a lot of this Gragas. The Rek'Sai's been banned out. Let's see what he's able to get done up top so far he's backing away.
Yeah, Amazing has also spent a lot of time top lane. We saw some of those picks from Kikis right there. They do need jungle attention in the early game. If you pick Akali and so on, it's very easy for the enemy jungler to kill you and shut you down, and you can't really afford to fall behind on these champions. So Amazing being near topside early on happens every game.
And it's part of the Misfits game plan right now as CozQ gets knocked back for just a second. They want to have a strong early game. We haven't seen, honestly, as strong of an early game as we could have expected from this team because it just seems like they don't get as much of a gold lead as they honestly should when they're playing up against teams and they still look like they're trading objectives early.
And I feel like they've had a little bit of the Unicorns of Love issue where the mid laner is the guy you can't really rely on in the early game to not start falling behind. Obviously on the Vladimir in the early levels, it's expected that you do fall down a little bit, but once you're at level 6, you can start playing very aggressive in that lane, and that's what we might see from CozQ. He needs to step up, though. He needs to perform better if Mysterious Monkeys want to really start taking down some of these top 6 teams in Europe.
Misfits definitely following through on this Vlad. Of course, his flash still going to be down for several minutes, and PowerOfEvil will have a chance at level 6 to make it happen. I mean, he's got the level advantage already, but yeah, that's sometimes a tough ask when you want to go in and make the outplay.
Yeah, but again, the fact he can just farm to level 6 is fine. Oh, nice interrupt.
Ooh, interrupt on Yuki's horse burn both summoners, and it's not going to be enough as Ignar takes a Gleaming Quill.
Yeah, you can't instantly start jumping out because then the knockup will actually happen right after from Rakan and interrupt the Tristana jump. If we get the replay, we can actually see that in slow motion as well. Let's see, bot lane Amazing is potentially looking to maybe interrupt some recalls, but he just steps away. And early kill right now for Ignar and Hansama. That's very important.
Yeah. Yuki did not want to back or have to go back to base right about then as Ignar goes pretty deep. You see that pickaxe being picked up by the Tristana. Would have liked the BF sword instead.
So let's see it engage right now. The problem is here, if Yuki charges up his jump instantly, then the jump will actually get interrupted by Ignar here. Most of the time, you actually want to take the knock-up first and then queue up the jump right after. So then, once you've already, been CC'd, you're actually not flying in the air, and then it gets stopped, like we saw right here. Yuki, though, ends up dying, and it's a great engage from Ignar. Maxlore, meanwhile, will get to use the saplings from the brushes to get a bit of extra damage on these Raptors. And again, as I said earlier, you can steal a lot of Raptors very quickly on Maokai.
Yes, you can. Now, for the Misfits, it's a pretty good start for them, but the Monkeys, these are guys that, even though they have been on an upward trend, they do need all the points they can get. They're sitting at the bottom of Group B at the moment, and it's closer than you might think, especially considering how things all started up.
Let's see what happens around mid lane, because you have...
Oh, flash, power unleashed, and CozQ trying to run away. He's got the ghost on, narrowly avoids death.
So Maxlore just left. He was sitting actually waiting, and Ignar was on the way as well, but they didn't want to commit a tower dive. Maxlore is spotted by a ward, and Amazing is around, but I'm just looking at this Syndra, because that's not a normal first buy.
Oh, yeah. Frostfang. Okay.
Interesting. PowerOfEvil, what are you doing now?
He wants more gold. I'm going to go ahead and guess
I mean, he probably wants to fully upgrade it and get this slow.
All right, well, you're looking that up. I'm going to watch Maxlore and Amazing batter at each other right here. Kikis is actually backing away, and he's on less than half his health bar. Does not want to have to cancel that one, and Maxlore doesn't stop him from doing it. But the pressure's topside for Misfits.
Yeah. It is right now. I'm still just looking at...
Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah, it's okay, Deficio. I can take
it's just
solo
like,
cast for a minute.
Okay, so what is it he's trying to achieve here? Obviously, it does add some nice mana regen for him in the laning phase. And once he fully upgrades it, he will get that slow that he can use to try and set up maybe another stun for himself. But I think there's just so much CC and engage already from Misfits that shouldn't be needed for PowerOfEvil to set up his place.
And what is he giving up for that, right? Like, it's not going to be the most damage-efficient item by a long shot.
Exactly.
And you need your Syndra to be able to dominate. They've traditionally and consistently, Misfits have put a lot of pressure on PowerOfEvil to be the primary carry in this team, in this iteration of Misfits, because not a lot of other people have been stepping up. Now, that being said, Hansam is doing pretty darn good right now.
So bot lane is winning very easily for Misfits right now. Mid lane, you see PowerOfEvil at least going even in CS and having some pressure, but CozQ has survived. He lost his flash early. He's, again, getting fine farm. He's at this point where he can start trading with PowerOfEvil and be more aggressive. Top lane as well. Actually, just top lane after.
Oh, twisted advance, in goes the Rakan, and there's the Maokai ultimate, rocking and rolling all over him. No, they cannot. And they can't miss Amazing as Hansama pulls out the Ren stacks for his first kill.
So if you haven't watched League of Legends in a while and you wonder what on earth was that from the Maokai,
well, no longer Vengeful Maelstrom.
Yeah, we definitely reworked him. The ulti right now is, instead of that massive damage reduction circle he used to have, it is instead this massive AoE zoning tool that if you get hit by it, you get rooted in place. So the way you want to use it is around objectives or towers. You know, like a dragon, you can use it to cover the entire river and either force the enemy team to step away from that drake or get caught by the root and engaged on. Same thing on tower. You can use that to then force them off the tower, and you can get a lot of free damage on that big, easy structure right there. So that's basically the way you want to use that. Just to summarize the whole thing, like use it as a zoning tool from Maokai's ulti. Alphari top lane, getting lane stopped on. He has decided to go with Gragas' advice and get that early Bramble Vest for himself. Obviously now, it is a mini Thorn Mail you get that reduces the healing you receive on the other side.
He's up against a semi-ranged champion like Kikis, and obviously even with the AD carry Yuki coming up there too, he wants to be able to push some damage back when he's getting relentlessly pounded on, because he just can't quite close that distance unless he wants to all in. Now Ignar just going forward for Amazing, but he's got to be careful. Graves is there. Oh, Blast Cone taken. So, and he's able to dash his way out.
Yeah, that was a risky play from Ignar, sneaking in without any backup nearby, but obviously Rakan with great mobility to try and get out. Also knew he had the Blast Cone. So back to Alphari right there, just stacking armor. 35 armor on that Bramble Vest. Deals a bit of damage with it when he takes damage, and of course applies to Grievous Wounds, which is the key part for him.
All about the armor right there, PowerOfEvil. Equal levels on CozQ. Maxlore also equal with Amazing, but Amazing is here, throws the barrel, but a little too far right now.
That one sucked.
Hemoplague comes in, and it's just on minions, so Mysterious Monkeys blow a couple of ults for nothing.
And that's the thing, you know, if you already missed the flash body slam, you might as well miss your ulti as well. You know,
is that how it works?
Just have fun with it, step out. No one saw that one except for the entire crowd in Berlin and everyone watching at home. We totally won't replay that one either. Hint, hint, observers.
All right. Well, while we wait for that definitely not replay, we'll check in with what's going on back up top as Ignar wants to make it 2 on his own kill count. Remember, he's the one who secured that first blood just narrowly, but him and Hansama have been taking it to Yuki and Dreams up here in the top, keeping him under tower.
That's what we like Misfits just matching the swap. It was Mysterious Monkeys who went top first because they were losing the bot lane, and Misfits just said, you know what? We are not done with this 2v2 lane. Go top lane, keep having that winning lane to play around. Alphari might be under some pressure in the bottom lane. CozQ on the way. Amazing already here.
Uh-oh. All right, well, he's got no ult to work with, but he's not going to need it. Oh, and in goes the cage, and he's going to dash his way out of it. Flag and drag. Amazing tanking tower shots. CozQ will tag his way in, and so far, Alphari has gotten the better of these three monkeys. Let's see if he's able to get done. Dragon strike the minions. He's going to dash away. Alphari is finally going to fall, but that was a big investment from the Mysterious monkeys.
He tried right there. A nice dodge on the body slam with the Jarvan ulti. Meanwhile, top lane tower will die. First tower goes for Misfits because Alphari bought so much time in the bottom lane. And, of course, due to Ansama and Ignar winning this 2v2 lane.
But this is the cleaner early game for Misfits, right? Alphari buys so much time, draws so much attention. The top side dual lane continues to push. And this is now a decent gold lead for these guys. 2,500 at 11.5 minutes.
Let's see the replay again. Look at how he dodges the body slam here with his own ulti on Jarvan. He sees the body slam. Ulti's at the same time. Actually, he got hit by it, but you know, it looked great. So let's just say that was what he did. But tried at least to dodge as much of it as possible. Went back in. I don't know if he had anything left to try and kill Gragas. Most likely not. Maxlore, though, meanwhile, he actually did manage to secure the Rift Herald once again because Alphari bought so much time.
Yeah. Amazing nearly did go down too to the courtesy of the minions. Had to health smite on the Krug camp, and here we are. Misfits looking like a pretty solid early game from this team.
And let's go back to PowerOfEvil and his build real quickly. Frost Queens is completed right now. So what he's sacrificing again is just, it's a fairly large chunk of AP. Like Morel Normicon compared to Frost Queen's 40 AP difference that he's obviously not getting right now, but he's valuing very clearly having that active, the two ghosts appearing out and slowing down a target. That must be basically the reason he's doing this. Or maybe he feels like the extra gold actually adds value for him that he gets with this item. But I have to say it needs to be about the slow. It is a big investment, though.
Yeah. Guess they're banking on the long game, that's for sure. And Kikis with the hammer knocking Alphari back, but Maxlore is already incoming, waiting for that point. And Clicky flashes to finish it up, followed through, and it's Nature's Grasp as Kikis tries to flag and drag his way under tower. Amazing, gonna knock the barrel. Alphari going in, but he can't finish the job on a Kikis. And now it is Maxlore who's caught out all alone. The rest of the team, a double kill for Kikis.
Oh, let's see what happens around the mid lane, because CozQ is going aggressive.
Flashing forward, and that's a big bite out of the health bar. That Hemoplague did not look good for PowerOfEvil, but he's able to stay alive through it all.
So remember, Pyro, when I said this Maokai is not really going to offer any damage. You need the damage from your laner. Well, they were relying on the full tank Jarvan to actually deal enough damage to kill Kikis in time. Well, the full damage Jarvan, or full tank Jarvan, doesn't have a lot of damage. So you see the engage right here. Maxlore will flash in, Kikis with the early flash just to get on the tower and pull Maxlore with him under the tower. And now, there really isn't any damage from full armor Jarvan and a Maokai jungle, meaning Kikis on a Jayce actually stays alive, and of course the counter gank means that Mysterious monkeys pick up a lot of kills here. I think Misfits should not play around a full tank Jarvan at all. They have already sacked that lane from the get-go. You have a winning 2v2 dual lane. They should be playing in the lane where there's a tower to kill. They're going top lane again right now, despite the fact there's a Drake alive and there's a bot lane tower they can go for, and that's the winning lane. So Hansama and Ignar are currently playing for nothing. There's no objective on the top side for them to take.
Yeah, this is, we praised it earlier that Misfits were able to get some things done and were trading effectively, but now it's kind of gone all topsy-turvy. They just haven't been able to focus on the right objectives, and you can see this is possibly one of the reasons why they don't seem to have these strong gold leads in all these games. Around 15 minutes, it doesn't look very good, even if they're up in kills. They have a lot of jungle proximity, which means Maxlore's around, but it just doesn't always pan out.
That's very, very true. And one of the big things about, you know, the missing goal lead here for Misfits is the fact they give away a lot of towers as well to the opponent team. Actually, the most in the league. This game here, they haven't lost a tower yet. And also, they did push this top lane wave, so they might just try and go mid lane and take this mid lane tower.
All right, they got the Rift Herald here, and they forced 3 of the monkeys back from the mid. PowerOfEvil shepherding the minions through, and that's going to finish the job. Tower number 2 for the Misfits, as they look to establish even more control in this jungle of Mysterious monkeys. A lot of wards already there, and that Rift Herald's doing double time.
Getting a bit of extra damage right here. Obviously, would have been able to take down that mid tower with just the Herald, but they got some backup from the dual lane. Misfits have sent the dual lane top again here, looking at that tier 2 tower, but they're very deep inside the enemy territory. Amazing is around PowerOfEvil as well. No flash on Syndra.
Oh, double time as he got the stun back, and the Unleashed Power is enough to take a bite out of his health bar, but not enough to finish the job. And in goes Rakan. Ignar saving the life of his mid laner, but will it be enough as Dreams pops the Glacial Fissure? No damage follow-up, and Hansama will claim a kill.
In the end, Yuki got that one kill, but going for him.
Looking for more. Yuki has already hopped away. He's going to have to flash that wall. He's got Ren stacks in him, and they pull him out. It's going to be Hansama with the double on that, and now CozQ's running for his life away from Alphari and Maxlore.
Maxlore still chasing him for now. Oh, he did get the heal.
He does have it after the fact. However, he's still burning down. The pool is closed, and Maxlore comes up with the kill.
So a lot of things just happened right there. We saw a fight start around the mid lane where Amazing missed his ulti again on the Gragas. He actually allowing PowerOfEvil to move towards his team. That one missed ulti could actually end up costing a lot here for the Mysterious Monkeys because it meant PowerOfEvil stayed alive for a long time. Rakan joined in. Rest of Misfits actually managed to get in the fight before PowerOfEvil died. And Mysterious Monkeys did not get a whole lot from that fight.
No, they didn't. Prior to it, it was looking better for them because Kikis had managed to basically get the outplay with the assistance of the tower, but here's where things start to turn around. PowerOfEvil.
There's no flash on PowerOfEvil. If that whole ulti hits from Amazing, PowerOfEvil is stuck in the middle of his lane, and he's just going to die. The fact it misses means PowerOfEvil now gets assistance from Ignar. It actually now means Dreams ends up dying as well before Yuki gets the kill on PowerOfEvil. So that was a lot invested by Mysterious Monkeys based on a missed ulti from the Gragas. Obviously, Yuki will end up dying after trying to go for that one kill on PowerOfEvil. Misfits right there. Nice play with the Rift Herald for mid tower. They were not supposed to get multiple kills after as well. That was a big mistake from the Mysterious Monkeys.
Started to open up that gold lead now. 4,000 ahead. They got themselves the movement speed of the Air Dragon. So they'll be able to get to those objectives a little bit faster, and now they turn their attention towards the bottom side. You can see the vision already in place, and they're looking to finish off that final bottom tier 1.
Yeah, I like this move here. Hansama, Ignar, sitting them on the bottom side. They are the golden boys right now on Misfits. You want to play around these guys as much as possible. They're going to fight.
Goes in, and there's the quickness. He's got 3 right now. It's Amazing getting popped down here. PowerOfEvil focusing on him, but it's Hansama who picks up the kill. The rest of the Monkeys trying to respond. Nature's Grasp is on, but Hansama is sticking with it till he's shut down by CozQ, trying to disrupt this fight. The tower still stands through it all. 3 are stunned, and Misfits maybe bit off a little more than they could chew.
This game is bonkers, man. People just die left and right, and whenever one team has the advantage, it just turns around in favor of the other one.
What did we expect, Deficio? I mean, it's not the cleanest 2 teams. Misfits, we've been criticizing how the early game sometimes goes a little awry. Mysterious Monkeys have a game plan, which is funnel the kills onto Kikis, but
been working so far.
I mean, it is, but you got to still manage to keep everyone else alive.
So the engagement itself for 1 kill is actually fine for Misfits. The problem is CozQ is probably closer with the Ghost than they think. So he gets to join the fight much earlier here, and then suddenly Misfits are no longer sitting with that 4v3 advantage. It's actually 4v4, and it's a pretty strong Vladimir joining in. CozQ is not behind in this game here. He's actually been able to farm, even get a small advantage over PowerOfEvil. He's picked up 2 kills now on this Vladimir. Like, he's going to be a monster in team fights. And he's against a Frost Queen's Syndra, who's sacrificed damage for utility. This is looking very good for CozQ.
Yeah, that's true. And for Misfits, the tables turn a little bit, right? We talk about Hansama having been that utility player for a long time, but now that they decide he's going to be the main carry, 4 kills on this Kalista's not hurting him any. Yeah. They have PowerOfEvil on the utility.
And they send him top lane again now. This bot lane tower will die very soon. It is low. So I want to see what they're trying to do here, because Baron, while you have a Kalista, it's a little bit early to start rushing down a Baron. Stays alive. The minions didn't actually get it.
Wow.
I guess at this point you can literally just dive in and actually take it down, but that is a free turret waiting to be killed.
The last time that Alphari thought that, he died to Kikis, but hey.
True. So what Misfits can do is, because they have Hansama and Ignar winning their lane every single time, whenever they push it to tier 2 tower, they can walk into the enemy jungle, get vision, kill the enemy wards, and look for picks. They have so much CC with their comp.
There's the Fate's call. Throw in Ignar, and he's getting down with the quickness. Now they go Twisted Advance, rooting down onto Amazing as Dreams is caught out by PowerOfEvil. And just like that, Misfits coming up with 1.
Right there, we saw one of those moves. You know, it's all about pushing the top lane first and then hide. Move inside that jungle here. Hansama and Ignar, they were sitting in that tribe rush. PowerOfEvil might try and look for another one. Still so early in the game that just rushing the Baron is very risky.
Yeah.
But in a few minutes, Misfits might be able to do it.
I like the way that they're pulling these picks off, because not only are they not afraid to fight after the fact, but they can make moves so fast, get in, get out. I mean, they're playing the Mysterious Monkeys, but they're the ones with guerrilla warfare.
And right there, the crowd obviously very happy with the macro, the fact that Misfits care about vision. Definitely agree with the crowd as well, and they might actually look to start it. They're starting it right now.
Okay.
Still very risky what they're doing at the moment.
Full vision, and they see where Amazing is right now. They need to be able to push him back if they don't want this to turn into a 50-50, but they do have the Kalista. They don't have the nerve.
That was a little bit too early from them. Everyone had already respawned on the side of Mysterious Monkeys, and they were all basically just around the Baron to go in and stop it. We need that bot lane tower to die, because Misfits can get some gold from that, and then they can push the lanes really deep, all the way into tier 2 towers of Mysterious Monkeys, set up your vision first, and then go for that Baron play with the Kalista.
For the time being, it's all about trying to control that mid and keep the waves pushed down that one, so Misfits can establish that control over the Baron pit yet again.
We also got the Talisman completed on Ignar. I really like that item here on 714.
Especially on Rakan.
Especially on Rakan, but I love the fact it gives that 8% movement speed when people run towards you. So when you dive and engage, your team gets buffed when they run towards you, which means towards the enemy team. Good movement speed here. Now the Baron being started, Mysterious Monkeys are still around.
Still very early, and there goes the Frost Queen's claim ghost, but Amazing is in the back of the pit. PowerOfEvil had looked to go forward, and in comes Ignar now. They're going to flag and drag Alphari on his way in. The Cataclysm comes down, hunts him on the backside. CozQ, though, he's melting through PowerOfEvil, but Power is staying alive through it all until CozQ finally pulls the shutdown, but he's found himself out of teammates, and the rest of Misfits are chasing on. They may have lost their mid carry, but they have taken 4 away from the Mysterious Monkeys, and guess what? It's Baron time.
And all they're doing, Pyra, is start the Baron and say, hey, Mysterious Monkeys, you want to go stop this Baron? Yes? Okay. Now we can hard engage. So Misfits are using the Rakan with Talisman to just force fights around this big objective, and they're now succeeding with it. Yes, they lose a mid tower. Who cares? You pick up a Baron.
Eventually.
Eventually. You will get it.
Yeah, Ren stacks are
there
pretty
you
good.
go.
All right, so they got it on 4 now. Power hasn't come back up, but here's how it all began in the fight.
Yeah, they're all inning on getting this fight and winning the fight here. Engage is nice from Ignar. Yuki is actually now split up from his team, so as an AD carry, it's really hard to do a whole lot, because you can't really get to auto attack against mages like Syndra. She can one-shot you, as we just saw here. And that suddenly means now that Yuki couldn't really do anything in the fight. And also, while CozQ got that 1 kill, well, you just lost your entire team.
Yeah.
So the call for Misfits in itself might be a little bit unusual in starting a Baron that early against 5 members who are alive. But the entire call was, we want to fight them, use this to bait them into a fight. Oh, Kikis. He's nuts. It's crazy.
He's not going to go for it
He's
here.
hiding behind him.
They got Maxlore and Hans. He's not that crazy. All right, finally they get the tower. Yay, minions.
Yay.
All right. Now that that's over and done with, laundry list, 1 more ticked off. Misfits have pretty good control over this map. They're going to be able to clear away as much of the vision as they'd like. And Alphari looking to go on to Yuki. We'll talk about that tweet in a minute, Deficio, because there's some action. Never mind, he gets knocked back. And he goes in again. Hello, flash away.
We've seen actually a lot of banter and fun trash talk between teams and players yesterday and today. Mithy was going to do some weird thing against H2K.
Well, we saw PowerOfEvil, and he was kind of lying, though. I don't see a Nashor's Tooth.
That is true, but he did say weird builds,
yeah,
which is what we're seeing. And Misfits Gaming did say that Mysterious Monkeys, or Amazing, would eat his own words.
All right, Ignar biding his time. This time he goes in a little bit at the wrong time, because CozQ had gone into his pool, but it's enough to push them back to finish off an inner tower. 24.5 minutes, that gold lead keeps on rolling forward. It's about 7,000 in the favor of Misfits. And they're eyeballing that base here. Alphari with the Baron-empowered minions up on the top side, uncontested until Amazing makes his appearance along with Yuki.
Yeah, great use of the Baron so far from Misfits here. Great setup for the Baron as well. I actually think them forcing that fight, while it looked a little bit risky at first, ended up being very successful because they knew they had the strong team fighting comp. Righteous Glory on Maokai as well. Like, they have so many movement speed buffs for their team. Their Talisman, the Righteous Glory.
Yep.
It is so easy for Misfits to force a fight.
And also, it's easy for them to stay alive in a number of ways. Not only that, big old front line that you see keeping Dreams locked up, they've also got some lolcats, too.
Some weird, long cats.
Some of the skins in our game is very, very strange, Deficio.
I know. Yeah, we've been doing some weird things. Back in my day, Pyro, you know,
they were recolors, right?
Season 1, yeah, you just changed the color of the champion. That was skin. Hey, engage!
We're going all for Kikis right now, recognizing that is the superior threat, but Alphari finds himself a little bit too far as CozQ going for the flank. Hansama trying to hop away. Hemoplague is on him, and Ignar is the one who's going down, but it doesn't matter unless Yuki can get a miracle fight. I don't think so. Taken down, but he does take PowerOfEvil with him. Hansama has been absolutely massive this game, and now it is inhibitor time for Misfits.
Misfits game, they first picked this Kalista here. They banned the Caitlyn, said we want the Kalista for Hansama, take it away from Yuki as well. And it's been a massive success for Misfits Gaming. They won the 2v2 lane, they got that kill as well against Yuki. They've been taking towers left and right. The Kalista was key in getting the early Baron. Like, this first pick Kalista have been so valuable for this team. And we're seeing why, again, they valued that pick so highly.
Yeah, here was the fight again where they all went for Kikis, and it's a miracle they didn't actually take him down right away.
Oh, he did stay alive for a few seconds at least, and he was kind of out of the fight right after. CozQ on this Vladimir that has been doing well is trying to do his best in these fights. I feel bad for him because it's been so many games where he's been struggling and the team has been trying to kind of, you know, carry him. This game, he's actually the man trying to carry his teammates, but he's not getting any help. His front line is non-existent at this point because, you know, Amazing and Dreams are really far behind in this game. And Yuki, as a Tristana, just can't get in range to hit anything due to the damage and CC and Misfits.
Well, only at level 13 too, right? You need more time. The Mysterious Monkeys need to stop this bleeding, but it's difficult to do when there's such a snowball in effect. Misfits, they can honestly just push around wherever they want to, throw their weight. There's only 2 towers inside the base outside of the Nexus. There's an open inhib down bottom. And yeah, you've got an explosive team fight and a lot of CC, but we've seen Mysterious Monkeys just unable to really fight on the same level that Misfits have been.
Yeah, that is very true. I'm looking at PowerOfEvil and his Frost Queens again. I want to see how much gold he's earned in this game from it. It is 973.
All right, is that worth Deficio?
I mean, most millionaires are probably going to say no, but he got at least 1,000 gold back from it. Ignar, on the other hand, 1,400 gold with his talisman. A lot of extra gold for him.
That for sure.
Got the Knight's Vow, and Kikis, he's
he hasn't died this game, but that might change as he goes to the skies, but in comes Ignar as well. It is not going to be a 1v1 for Kikis. Hansama, PowerOfEvil, everybody's there, and Alphari gets the kill. Can't be pushing when the Misfits are coming for you. Looks like they're going to be going for this inhibitor right now. Pretty easy for them to take in a 5v4 situation. Amazing. Make a token effort to shove them back, but he's just offering them a nice refreshing drink. Say thank you very much. We'll take your inhib too.
So another kill for Misfits. Get that inhib. PowerOfEvil as well. Looking back at him again with the Storm Raiders. So he's just going full on movement speed focus, which is, I guess if you think about it, like he couldn't run Ghost in this game. Because he run the Ignar here against Vladimir for the laning phase, so he's getting all his mobility from Frost Queens and Storm Raiders to make up for it.
Well, the crowd likes that mobility.
Sure, I mean...
That's great, it's great.
I mean, I guess, again, it makes sense, despite this being something I don't see very often.
All right.
I've also hit the point where I get Storm Raiders on absolutely everything I can over Thunderlords, just because it feels so great and so valuable with that burst of movement speed.
It feels like they're just letting him be like incredibly hard to catch bait, because it's not PowerOfEvil that is really dishing this damage, especially on that build.
Right.
Ignar is setting up these fights brilliantly. Alphari's putting people in the cage. Maxlore is doing that weird cat thing.
And also, you are in a meta where there's a lot of engage and a lot of tanks who can get onto you, and you are a champion with no dashers. Like no movement speed buffs on Syndra, so if you don't have any sort of movement speed to help you, it can get really hard to navigate in fights. That's where Storm Raiders is going to help him quite a lot. Now in this case we can't really use Ghost because of the lane matchup we had.
He's just able to stay safe other ways. And CozQ, once again, still trying to carry. Obviously Kikis is going to get heftier and heftier with the damage as time goes on. You can see after the Blade of the Ruined King, he had the Black Cleaver, he has a Last Whisper now, but he needs more time. The whole team needs more time.
You pick Jayce to win the lane and then become this snowballing split pusher. When your team is losing around you, it's really hard to kind of use Jayce effectively. Now he needs to try and one-shot someone in the back line. PowerOfEvil will get that 50% movement speed buff as well in fights.
Monkeys are here. Let's see what they do. In comes Rakan, and he gets a double charm. Alphari instantly turning his attention. You can see the Misfits collapse is huge, but do they have the damage? Hansana waiting around, and it's CozQ tried to go onto him, but he has to go golden. Isolated from the team, and Alphari should be able to get a finisher off. It looks like it's going to be PowerOfEvil that does it with a power unleashed. He gets a second. Ignar popping up on amazing, and now Hansama. No, it's going to be Power that gets that triple.
There's no way for Mysterious Monkeys to ever disengage a fight against all this engage, all this movement speed on the side of Misfits, and they're going straight for that Nexus.
Yeah, Yuki, I don't think you can hold on to this one right now, but maybe you can hold on to his life. Into the fountain he goes, and they still wanted a piece of it. And he's still able to protect it, but he cannot protect his Nexus. So at 31 minutes into the game, Misfits say, yes, we can. Turn it around, finishing off Yuki for the ace, and it's gonna be Nexus. One game in the books for Misfits Gaming.
And I have to say, Pyra, the longer we watch this game, the more I like the Misfits draft. With, again, the amount of tools to start fights. Proactivity has been an issue for a lot of European teams. They've been playing too slow, too passive. Misfits, they make sure that's impossible with this draft right here, and also punish, you know, if the other team is playing defensive, because again, they have so many ways to start the fights. Very well thought out draft. And also, again, that PowerOfEvil getting movement speed from his Frost Queens when it's fully stacked up, and when he's getting the Storm Raiders. Like, so even the guy without mobility actually managed to get it through his build and his Keystone.
Very true. And, you know, I talked a lot about him being like the utility player. That obviously is not going to be completely true. Syndra's still going to do a lot of damage. I was checking the after-game stats. Yeah, he did a lot more damage actually than Yuki did in that game, but Yuki was definitely not looking too shabby. Or excuse me, Hansama.
Hansama. No, again, the fact that he won the 2v2 lane that hard obviously was great for Misfits in the start, and I think just a great game from them. And again, love the draft.
Absolutely. So Misfits Gaming flex their muscles in game number 1. Let's hear from our analysts for more on that win.
Sounds like you like the draft, Deficio. And, well, we will talk a bit more about that, because when we were looking at Misfits Gaming before the game, we said, hey, there's nothing wrong with their early game. They know how to build leads, but they don't necessarily know how to force a fight at the right time or control the objectives in the mid game, which has led to their demise a couple of times. So what tools did they give themselves in the draft to avoid that?
I think the biggest thing that stands out in the draft here is the Rakan. They had the opportunity to pick a Thresh together with a Kalista to pick something like an Alistar, but Rakan is someone that with the flash can engage from so far away and can also easily build into the talisman for the extra movement speed as well. I was sitting here saying I think Sivir would have gone really well with their comp, but they just end up get the Righteous Glory and the talisman instead, so they pretty much got their own, build your own Sivir ulti there.
Who needs a Sivir comp with a Maokai when you can just get movement speed from everywhere, including your mid laner, like everything?
Well, yeah, I was thinking, we glossed over that, but you were talking during the game how you thought, well, it's actually a great tool because you have more slows, you have more ability even to lock someone down in the game.
So I agree, and I'm not going to advocate for everybody building Frost Queens, but specifically for Misfits and fixing the problem of actually getting those engages, it works, because not only do you get the movement speed on Syndra, you basically guarantee the stun almost every time, because you just hit the active, it slows them, you get the stun, everybody runs at them with the extra movement speed. So I think for Misfits, it was a smart draft for how to fix their problems that we've been complaining about for a couple of weeks now.
Means to an end, indeed. And then we look at the game, and the early game goes their way, and it's not something that we're surprised by. We've seen this a couple of times, but more specifically, Hansama, someone we called out to step up together with Ignar in that lane. They go all in and they build the lead for themselves.
Beautiful stop on Yuki's jump, and this is what we were talking about, is we wanted Hansama to not only get that first kill, but then have the team utilize this lead, and then they end up playing around him. He's able to group from the top side down to cover for PowerOfEvil, pick up another 2 kills in this fight, and this is enough out of Hansama for me. I liked watching this game for him. They drafted the Kalista very early. Ignar on the desk yesterday was talking about how good Kalista, Wadid on the desk yesterday was talking about how good Kalista is in that laning phase and then in the early fights, and they used that perfectly.
Big debate there, if it's healthy to crack your fingers or not. I don't know, but Hansama definitely won the game. And also, Henning, just as a footnote, we didn't really mention Mysterious Monkeys. In the regular order of things, you'd expect Misfits to be stronger than Mysterious Monkeys, but why do you think their strat of banking on Kikis, even though he had a lot of kills, didn't pan out in this scenario?
I think when you draft for Kikis, you usually just want a safe mid laner, safe AD carry. Can just stay under tower, wave clear, you know, pick something like a Varus or an Ashe, or go with a Cork in the mid lane just to stay safe. Here they pick the Vladimir and the Tristana, two great late-game team-fighting champions, but early on can be hard to pull off, and we just saw that getting punished really hard.
Tristana with an escape, Vladimir with a pool, not that unsafe.
The wave clear and the early laning phase.
Okay, it was more about the wave control over the game.
The one thing that Kikis had to contend with as well is not only just the way his comp was drafted, but the direction Misfits took on the game. A lot of the early game emphasis on grouping was against Kikis, and then in the late game, all of these tools we're talking about to get the fight started, a lot of people were drifting towards Kikis' lane. And the other thing that I'm glad to see teams do is exploit the fact that Kikis teleports late a lot of the time, and that is why we saw Misfits go to Baron, start the Baron, and say, okay, you actually need to TP in here, otherwise we're getting this. And Kikis had no room to play greedily at all. And ultimately, it ends up paying dividends for Misfits.
It does. Henning, talk to me about these tools that we see in action here for Misfits.
Yeah, just looking at the power spikes here, this is where Misfits are so much stronger, not only because the gold did, but because how the champions work. Compare the damage coming out of Hansama here to what Yuki's doing on the Tristana. There's just not even close in that comparison. And so many CC tools to start up the fight. We have the Rakan, the Maxlore using the flash to engage as well, and then Alphari in a losing matchup in the top lane, but contributes so much utility and crowd control to the team fights. He makes it work still.
Same goes for Maxlore. We didn't talk too much about the Maokai. It is the first time we see it here in the jungle in the EU LCS, and as you say, it just has so much utility, and I don't think it left as big as an impression on me as, for instance, Jankos' Cho'Gath yesterday, but in this team composition, it fits perfectly.
Yeah, and especially when you know you're going up against somebody like Amazing, who's going to draft heavily towards the Gragas when the Rek'Sai is banned away, so you get this basically safe jungle matchup where you're not going to get pressured. You can pick something like the Maokai that maybe doesn't stand up against early game junglers, but can get easily into this game. And Maxlore's even flashing in mid-level 2, trying to get that W to get a kill and get his mid laner ahead. This is very similar to what G2 did yesterday with Trick out of the jungle, and I'm glad to see Misfits having this active early game that we wanted to see them continue.
Strong game overall. We saw Unlimited there with the Mysterious Monkeys, the coach. What do you tell them? Because you kind of got outplayed in the lanes, you kind of got outplayed in the ganks, you kind of got outplayed in the team fights because they were ahead. So where does he start?
I think he tells his players too that it's okay to give up stuff. You don't have to fight. Just because like Misfits wants to fight, it doesn't mean that you have to take the challenge. You can go for the early lane swap as they did, but try to keep doing that, try to get away from the fights when it's not beneficial for you. I think just Mysterious Monkeys took too many fights in this game.
I want to see them put a little bit more priority on earlier drafting mid or bottom lane with safer laning phase picks. When you pick Tristana and Vlad and you don't put a lot of effort into them early, it's difficult to keep them in the game. And that's where it was really all down to Kikis, and he can't do anything on Jayce when everybody else is running at him in the lane trying to kill him.
Yeah, let's see what happens in Game 2. Coming up next, Mysterious Monkeys and Misfits Gaming hit the rift for Game 2 in the series. Stick around.
Yeah, but again, the fact he can just farm to level 6 is fine. Oh, nice interrupt.
Ooh, interrupt on Yuki's horse burn both summoners, and it's not going to be enough as Ignar takes a Gleaming Quill on CozQ. Maxlore also equals Amazing, but Amazing is here, throws the barrel, but a little bit far right now.
That one sucked. Holy shit.
I'm moving now.
Holy shit. No flash. Gragas.
Amazing gonna knock the barrel. Alphari going in, but he can't finish the job on a Kikis. And now it is Maxlore who's caught out all alone. The rest of the team, a double kill for Kikis. CozQ though, he's melting through PowerOfEvil, but Power is staying alive through it all until CozQ finally pulls the shutdown, but he's found himself out of teammates, isolated from the team, and Alphari should be able to get a finisher off. It looks like it's gonna be PowerOfEvil that does it with a Power Unleashed. He gets a second. Ignar popping up on Amazing.
Guys, I'm swimming. I'm swimming.
Thanks for carrying it.
And it's gonna be Nexus. One game in the books for Misfits Gaming.